So basically what happened is, I'm going to teach you service lifetime, saying that transient, scope, and singleton. Okay. The
Yes, sir.
first step is, this is my ASP.NET web application. In this ASP.NET web application, I have a browser. I have a Chrome browser saying that http://localhost. Right? When you make a request with a service injected as transient, this is my request one. Okay. This is my request one. What will happen in the sample application? It will try to create an object of that particular service, process it, dispose the object, give a response back. Am I right? This is what the response will happen. Am I right or wrong? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Again, if you are passing the same service, same browser, I'm trying to give a one more request. What will happen? Again, it will try to create an object for the service to call, right? Every time when you make a request, both request and response, an object of that particular service layer will get created. Correct me if I'm wrong. Say yes or no. Jafar?
Yes, sir.
Prem?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what will happen? Every time when make a request, the response also get the same. Okay, so that is the reason we are using service lifetime dot transient. How do I prove that? Now, in the controller, instead of using a single service object, I'm going to use 3 service objects. Listen carefully. I'm going to use 1 private iStudent service, 2 private iStudent service, student service 3. How many service instance I created here? 3 services. Right? I'm injecting all these services. 1, enter iStudent service, STU service 2, iStudent service, STU service 3. Right? Now you are going to add everything, saying that this dot student service 1 equal to STU student service 1. Like that, you are copying everything. Okay. Now give this 2, give this 3. This 2, this 3. Bus. Now I got everything. Now I got all the 3 services instance. How do I need to know all the 3 services are same? So what I will do in the student service object, I'm going to create a private GUID. Okay. Saying that identity. I'm going to create a new identity. Okay. Here, no, just make public, because I want this variable to be holded. At the time of creating instance, identity equal to new of GUID, where it will try to create a GUID for you. Okay, every time when you call this service, a new GUID will be created, hold it here. Now, in the student controller.cs file, here I'm going to call get student service 1. That's it. Now come here. I'm going to create a view back dot service instance ID equal to instance ID 1 equal to service student 1 STU equal to STU service 1 dot get GUID. What is the ID name, variable name I used here? Identifier, right? Identity. Identity. Why it is not going? Okay, I have to build the service. Done. Yare. You know what is hash code, right? So let me put a hash code. And similar version, you take this, paste, paste. Here you say service ID 2, you say 2, you say 3, you say 3, right? Now go back to your uu.cs file. The index, try to add in a div instance ID. Instance ID values are under which I'm going to use a div bag at view bag dot. What is the value we are using? Student service ID 1 dot toString. Student service ID 1. Yeah, you can use student service ID 1. Okay, same way you are going to use 2 here, 3 here. Okay, now I created an instance. Now I'm going to the student controller. Here, listen carefully. I'm trying to put a breakpoint. You see how many times this will get hit. Run the project. Not this one. Sorry. Not this one. This one. You see this one. How many times it will call the student service? First time I got the call. First time I created a call or not? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now you got the student object. It is building the student. Again, it is coming for the second time. Everybody, please say yes or no. Rajkumar Prem.
Yes,
Say
sir.
yes or no. Guys, you have to speak. Continue. Now you see the third time again it is coming. Now it is calling the service. If we use transient, something wrong. Okay, hold on a second. I don't think you should have these values in, I can have it in table. Dr, td. Okay, better to have this code here. Paste. Paste. I simply say 2. Paste. Simply say 3. Now I am removing everything. Hey, is it edit call in the? Now I am running. First time it is calling, second time it is calling, third time it is calling. Hold on a second. What happened?
Sir, is the data coming? No, no.
Hey, sorry. This is the one we need to use. There you go. Now what we can do, we can pack that in a view. Who is in train? Jafar. Jafar.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
The signal is breaking. Sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, hello.
I asked you to call you on the
Hello.
way, but you are not turned back. So now you see here how many instances are created, or is every time the object is different or not? See what happened in program.cs file. I created this services as a transient. So each and every time when you are injecting the service in the controller, it is creating an object 2 times or 3 times. It is creating for 3 times. Every time it is calling. Now you see here, I put a breakpoint here. Okay. I put a breakpoint. Now I am refreshing. Every time it try to create an object. One second. So I'm creating a second time. Again, it is calling. Third time it is calling. Now it is coming to get all the instance. Now you see this one. This one, when again I'm calling, this number will get varied. Now see, this is 53, 96, 63. Keep that in your mind. When you're calling a second time, I'm removing the student service, remove. I'm also taking this, run. You see, this is changed or not? Say yes or no. Every time for all the object, it is creating and changing. Now, if you refresh, see, the
Yes, sir.
transient, whenever you make a call, what will happen? Every time it will try to create an object. Sir, instead of transient, can I use scoped? What will happen? Let's see. Everything has the same instance ID here. Did I change it any instance?
No.
Say yes or no.
Yes.
Everything has same instance ID or not?
Yeah.
Chaitanya.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So when again if I make a refresh, it will get changed. Again it is make a refresh, it will get changed. That is the scope. Okay. Now I'm going to give Singleton. Right? Now I'm trying to run. See, I given a transient, I given a scope, I given a Singleton. See, you got 182624443. Now I'm trying to refresh. You refresh any time with the same object until this browser has been opened. Now you see here, I'm taking the same URL, going here, try to run here. It will also get the same instance. See, you see here, there are two instances, student detail, instances. Have you got my point? So when
Yes,
you
sir.
make a singleton, it means that it will try to create object for the very first time. Once it has been created, that object will be reused across the application will be totally stopped. When the application will be totally stopped, if I go back, I stop the service. That time my application will be stopped. Now you see, you got this one. Now I'm trying to run once again, a new application service will come. Listen carefully. A new instance will be created. This will not use the old instance. Now you see here. You got the difference? Got the difference or not? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Everybody say yes or no. Sir,
Yes,
if I
yes, sir.
refresh here, it will get the old instance. This is called a singleton. I'm creating object for the first time. I'm reusing the same object for the n number of calls. Is known as singleton. Those who learn C#.NET with the singleton and private constructor, they can understand how to create a singleton. If you want, you can go through that video, okay, in YouTube. But here, when I try to create object using a singleton, it means that the same object I'm going to use. Now go back. Sir, I'm going to change scope here. Listen carefully. I'm trying to change the scope here. Save, run. Now you got the 1826243. Okay. Now go back, try to refresh. It will get some other thing. Because the scoped means that object will be holded only within this browser request. That object is held only within the browser request. If you are going for the another browser, what will happen? It will try to create another one. I got my point. Now, if you refresh, you'll get another value. If you go and refresh here, you'll get another value. That means based on the browser, if I have three browsers to making a same call, okay, every individual browser will be scoped. If I close browser, that instance will be get demolished. Instead, if I use transient, when I run the project, what will happen? You see here, all the call object is get demolished. Now refresh. All the instance will be changed. That is the difference between transient, scope, and singleton. Sir, how do I describe this data? Now go back, new, don't say, create a table, create a tabular column like this, right? And say, this is your first one. And this is your second one. Okay. And then here you are making a statement. What is your first column containing header? Saying that transient. Right? Here you are saying scope. Here you are saying singleton. Now tell me, what is the first difference of singleton? What is the statement I have to give here? First point, when a request receives the application, IOC container, IOC will create object for each call. Will create independent object. Independent object for each call. Right? What is scoped here? Say anyone? What is scoped here? The same thing when a request receives application, IOC will create independent of single object for each request. For each request, right? There, in a request comes, it will create a number of times. You are trying to create an constructor, means what will happen? Every call, it will create an independent object. Here, for a single request, it will going to create object. Okay. Now, second point. What is your third point? When a request receives an application, receives the application, IOC, what is IOC? Inversion of control. Will create an object for all the requests till the application stop. Till the application stop. That is your very first point. If anybody comes and asks you, what is the difference between transient, scope, singleton? First, you have to tell, whenever a request, the very first request comes to an IOC container, if you are using or depending an injection for the same class containing constructor, it will create an independent object for each and every call. That is very clear. Now coming to the second point, scope. If I make the service lifetime a scope, based on the browser request, the service instance will be created. If it is a singleton, even though you make 10 browser, 20 browser call, 30 browser call, until and unless the application gets stopped, from your server till that particular point of time, the IOC container will hold the object. Very clear. See, you see a concept called application and session in ASP.NET. Am I right, Chaitanya? We discussed right in ASP.NET.
Yes, sir.
In application, what we will do? Even though you make a 10 browser calls, what will happen? The application object value will not be destroyed. Am I right?
Yeah.
Whereas in session, what you will do? Every browser will have an independent session name. When you close the browser, the session object will be get erased. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So that is the difference between scoped and singleton. Scoped is tightly coupled with the browser. Singleton is tightly coupled with the application. Transient is tightly coupled with the each and every request and response. Irrespective of the browser, irrespective of the application, if you use transient, it automatically creates an object. Clear my point?
Yes.
Everybody clear? Jafar, Prem, Rajkumar. Do you all clear the point?
Yes, sir.
Come again?
Yes, yes.
Prem? See,
Yes, sir.
if you are not understanding and if you are not responding, it means that you are not able to learn. You have to speak. Rajkumar.
Yeah, understood, sir.
Okay, now you all understand, right?
Understood.
When to go for transient, when to go for scope, when to go for singleton. Let's talk about that. See, in this project, in the student detail, assume whether these all students are in the same location will come to the class. First question. Chaitanya may be in Hyderabad, Vishnu may be in Bangalore, Manoj may be in Pune, Narendra may be in Chennai, Gauri may be in Mumbai. All right. So everybody in a different location. Sir, I want to get the location detail for these users. Are you going to create the location every time when you make a call to the server?
No, sir.
Why? Because the location details are a common detail. Am I right?
Yeah.
So where to implement location detail? Is it a transient scope or is it a scope or it is a singleton? Across project, I'm going to use location data set as a master data.
Transient.
Are you going to use it in transient, scoped or singleton?
Transient because it would be available everywhere.
Because transient, every time you have to create an object, right? Is it unnecessary for you, right? Scope,
Yeah.
you
yes,
should be hold the location detail object in singleton. You no need to create the same object for a number of times because those are configuration values. To load any project, your gender detail will be common, your location detail will be common, your employment state detail will be common. All these common data are created as a service container through singleton pattern, so that whenever you make a request to the object, you no need to create object for every time. You no need to create object for the every time. Or you got my point? So always a best practice, you go with common data in singleton. So what do you need to do? The second point, all master data service. You have to tell the example. All master data service will be used by singleton service lifetime. Singleton service lifetime. That is your second point. Now come back to the scope. When to use scope? For example, I'm Narendra, logged in through one browser, or Chaitanya, logged in with an application as a single browser. Regarding my user profile configuration information, got my point. See, if you go to any application, you will have user profile information, right, Chaitanya?
Yes, sir.
So when you load the service, user profiles or specific information on the browser specific browser request data. Browser request data will be used by scoped service lifetime. Scoped service lifetime. See, if you are going for interview, this topic is the most important, whether you know MVC core or not. By testing these three types, I can easily understand this guy knows MVC or not. Clear my point? So this is the one of the most important topic which you are learning right now. If you are not able to understand this topic at the time of development, if you say 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, 10-year experience, it means that you are fake. I'm very clear. Okay. So the point here is when to go for a scope, for a user profile, for a specific data on the particular browser, you need to go for scope. When to go for transient, on demand, you need to call a value. You need to load value, load business data. This time, we need to use transient lifetime. Transient lifetime. Got it? Now you all understand when to go for transient, when to go for scope, when to go for singleton. This is most important. Tomorrow I'm going to talk how this object will be released from the memory. Now today I created only the memory object. When this object will be get relieved, we will teach you tomorrow. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to talk.
No, sir.
Come on. Feel free to talk.
Yes,
Prem, tell me.
already you are there mentioned that singleton, no sir. Singleton contain master data, no sir. Can you give one example like master data? What is master data? And according to that transient, what is specific provider request data? And according to transient, according to
I'm very
transient,
clearly explained user profile.
yes
Master
sir. Can
data
you
is nothing but location details.
okay
I clearly
specific
told,
provider?
see, when you load an application, what are all the common data you require for a application? For example, you are building a employee management application. Your qualifications are a common data, like BE, BTech, all these are available in your database. Now you want to get the data. Okay.
Yeah.
Frame, you understand?
Yes sir.
Let's take an example of country details. Let's take an example of city detail. Let's take an example of state detail. All these three data are available in your database, right?
Yes sir.
You need to call whenever you make every time request through that particular service as a transient or singleton, because these data for every time, even Narendra will use, even Prem will use, even Jafar will use, Rajkumar will use, even Chaitanya will use. So do I need to use singleton or scoped or transient? Which service is the best option?
Singleton.
Singleton. Now you got the
Yes.
answer.
Yes.
Now coming back to scope. For example, Narendra logged in, Prem logged in, Chaitanya logged in. Narendra data will be different from Chaitanya data. Chaitanya data will be different from Prem data. So in that case, user profile information, are you going to use Singleton, scoped or transient?
Here scope will
Why you are using scoped?
because
Because
different content
it is
different.
specific to Narendra. When Narendra trying to access from his browser, I need to create a scope for that particular browser alone. If
Yes.
Prem is opening with another browser, Prem should have another scope, right?
Yes.
You got the point now? Now you clearly understand the difference.
Yes, sir.
Now coming back to transient, with respect to Narendra, with respect of everybody, whenever on demand you want to get the data, can you go for transient? Any transaction, you can go for transient, Prem.
Yes, sir.
So that is the difference. Now you understand why do I need to go for Singleton? Why do I need to go for transient? Why do I need to go for scope?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If anybody asks you in an interview saying that when to go for Singleton, when to go for scope, when to go for transient, you explain this information that is more sufficient that you are implemented in project. Nobody, 90% people will not answer this question. That is the beauty. They really don't know. They really don't know how the implementation is happening. That is the problem. Technically. Jafar, did you agree?
Yes, sir.
Come again?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I right or do,
Yeah, yes, yes, sir. Exactly, sir. Right.
okay. Why? Because in real time, people will use, but they don't understand when to use, where to use. That's how the challenge. You could have seen a lot of YouTube ads and Facebook ads. People say that I don't want a coder, I want a developer. I'm seeing a lot of days nowadays. I want something good caption I see yesterday or day before yesterday. I want a person not to code. I want a good developer to a bad, the very best developer, something like that. A good developer can just blindly implement the logic. A very good, very sophisticated developer will understand each and every line of code that what to use, what not to use. Okay. I think you understand my point. Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Chaitanya?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
tomorrow, what is my plan is, sir, you created an object for these services, but when this object will get disposed. Today we saw what is when it will be going to create objects. When you make transient, object is created. When you make scope, when the object is created, how long it has been available. When you use Singleton, you see here the point itself. Specify that a new instance of the service will be created every time it is requested. It's very simple. This term itself will clearly explain. Now, if you go and change into scope, now look into the definition. Anybody can read.
Specifies that a new instance of the service will be created for each scope. In ASP.NET Core applications, a scope is created around each server request.
Every individual server request, the application scope will be created. Now, you try to read this.
ServiceLifetime.singleton equals to 0 specifies that a single instance of the service will be created.
It's given everything clearly for you. It's an enumeration,
Yes, sir.
actually.
Yes, sir. Yes.
They're using an enum.
Yeah.
You need to learn this one. This is more enough. And this will comes under the part of dependency injection. Whenever you are including the object of the class, that class will get detected based on the dependency injection. See, for example, sir, I want to understand when this particular stuff will be get disposed. Simply what you will do here is disposable. When you use disposable, there is an interface containing method called dispose. Public void dispose method. This method, anyone can read this?
What student control or dispose performs application defined task associated with freeing, releasing, or resetting unmanaged resources. Student controller dot dispose hides inherited member controller dot dispose uses the new keyboard if hiding was intended. Change
It
the
means
student
that
controller.
whenever you are trying to create an object of the class, once the class object has been implemented and it has been used, you need to remove that particular object from the memory. For that, you are going for dispose method. That means that you are telling a dispose method, release the object from the garbage collector. I don't want to hold that particular object in the garbage collector. For that, you are going for a dispose method.
Dispose.
You are programmatically releasing the memory. Why you are programmatically releasing the memory? When you try to create an object in the memory, that memory will be allocated in your RAM.
Yeah.
If you are not releasing that memory in your RAM, think about it. There are 200 requests are coming for the same time. The memory is automatically heaped. Your RAM get more memory, and your application performance will go down. So that you need to use disposable interface. You need to use disposable interface in which it has a dispose method. Perform application design task associated with the framework, freeing, releasing, resetting unmanaged resource. Got my point? Here you can release the dispose method, which I can tell you when it gets disposed, when it will not disposed by tomorrow. Clear? Everybody clear? I thought of to tell this since this one I need some time you guys to take and work. That is the reason. Now you see it will not run. Site cannot be reached. Why? Because the application is not started. Clear my point?
Yes, sir.
That's all for today. Do you have any other questions?